Hello there, Megan Bayless Bartley coming to you from the Mindfulness Center. I am so excited to bring Rob Giltner back on video to talk about some really interesting topics revolving around relationships, whether it's relationships in a couple or marriage, or relationship with your family, or even with yourself. I think these will all resonate. So I'm going to have Rob introduce himself. This is part one of a 2-video series, so be sure to watch both. So Rob?
Yeah, back on video. It's good to be. It's been a while.
I know.
Yeah, we kind of we started it.
We did.
Yeah.
Check out the S.O.S podcast,
Right.
like seasons 1 through something. I mean, that was me and Rob. So
yeah, and so very excited to be here and be with you. That's one thing that, as like COVID kind of started, but then everyone gets busy, kind of missed, and like the whole team as well. But yeah, here to do a couple of videos. But yeah, I'm Rob. I'm a therapist here at the Mindfulness Center and work with individuals and couples. And these 2 videos, I think kind of intended to cover both lenses, a couples therapy and an individual lens, but maybe slightly more kind of individual. So the second video, very excited about. It's about reality and the flexibility of choice and creation, which is one of my favorite things to do, how we can actually create reality. And so the second is sympathetic resonance. So I guess that's the video we're doing today. First, and so I have a definition I can throw at you. But when
we'll get geeky. We'll get all therapists speak on you.
Yeah, we'll nerd out. When I told you about sympathetic resonance, you already doing it in a way. This is just a new term,
right?
But curious what you might have thought of, hearing it, or.
Well, I mean, part of me kind of rolled my eyes, and I was like, "Oh boy, Rob, here we go." But I was like, "Okay, I'm curious. Like, what do you want to say about this?" Because I think the average person has no idea what that is, like speaking Japanese to somebody, right?
Sure.
So, but resonating means there's a tuning into something, and the sympathetic part is maybe more gentler or compassionate way of resonating with someone. I think right now in our world there's a lot of anger and heatedness and indecisiveness or whatever, and it's just, I'm curious about how you would talk about this.
And just how it shows how powerfully, and maybe even attraction wise too, like energy kind of is. And energy can influence an entire room. And I'll just speak, I'll speak the definition and then give a really a great example. But sympathetic resonance is when systems naturally or align or respond without force and kind of gain compatible frequencies and kind of energy. So energy can be matched. And so the most common example is 2 tuning forks. One is wrong, you supply energy to it and it's vibrating kind of maybe on a minorly level, but it's observable, and you bring it to a second tuning fork, and even without touching, the second tuning fork begins to kind of vibrate as well. And that's kind of a model for what sympathetic resonance is, and it can become human to human or even object to kind of object. And so that is just kind of very exciting, because then through therapy, and we can put it into practice in multiple ways to raise our energy level, or maintain certain frequencies or kind of rhythm even as well. But you have such a interesting and fun background in energy, and so that's maybe where we're aligned. And would you like to share a little bit of that?
Well, I mean, I realized that a lot of the therapy that I was doing was shifting people's energy, right? Like, that's kind of what we're doing. You can call it all the different things that you want. I mean, every therapist or provider or whatever calls it something different, but I got trained in Reiki, lots of Reiki. So just really, and then from the neuroscience piece, like science itself deals with energy, right? Like the idea of energy is neither created nor destroyed. So like, how do we shift the energy, instead of like, we're not creating the energy necessarily, we're shifting it and moving it from one place to another place. And so, the other phrasing that I think this is about is like mirror neurons, right? From a brain perspective of like how we notice, we can see it in their nonverbals, but we kind of also get a vibe, right? Like if you walk into a room and you realize the room's like, it's a party, and you kind of get the party vibe, right? You're going to either attune to that or not. Or if it's a funeral and everybody's sad and crying, you're going to attune to that vibe too. So it happens in a lot of different ways.
And do you find yourself kind of daily then, having some intentionality with that energy and kind of maintaining? And have you seen, your practice with clients kind of be able to be influential with that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think, my training with the Ericksonian hypnosis specifically, because it's such a subtle practice that,
Yeah.
I go into a deep trance before I see clients, so that I'm sort of kind of a receiver, receptacle, if you will, of sort of, whatever they're bringing into the room. I'm sort of just containing and digesting, and then trying to filter out what do they need to hear from me today, or, so it's kind of an interesting way to do it as
Yeah.
well. I mean, it's very intuitive, it's very energetic, and so I have to be resonating a certain way, leaving all my shit behind, whatever happened before I got to work today, or whatever needs to happen after work today, kind of gets put to the side, and that 50-minute hour is fully for the client.
Yeah, but makes a lot of sense. And there's one thing, I don't know if challenge would be the right way, but curious on. You're right. So like energy, can't be destroyed. And at the beginning, maybe, yeah, like we can't create it, but what we can create something energetically kind of for us. And there is this alchemical process and like alchemy, and I'm not an expert in that, heating and things, but like heat is a form of energy. And maybe a
Yes.
better example is like a campfire, that it can take a lot of work if you don't have a starter log or a match to create the fire, which is that's a form of energy.
Yeah.
But then the key thing is you have to maintain the fire. So anything energetically, in order to maintain the energy has to be continually kind of
Yes.
supplied. And I think that really kind of models, daily functioning at a high energetic level or a high frequency, a high vibration. And that doesn't mean, that, okay, we're associating if you have a sad day or if you're sick or
Right.
something externally happens, that fire goes out, using maybe the campfire analogy, that external factors or even our own can dampen, weaken the fire. The most important thing is to provide energy.
Yes.
And so that's more logs or whatever kind of might burn.
Yes.
um,
Well, and I personally, like, I think about this with parenting. And
Sure.
so, like, let's say, kids are coming home from school and I'm excited to pick them up from the bus stop. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm driving to the bus stop. I'm like, okay, we're going to pick them up. I'm going to say, like, want to find out how their day was. And they get in the car and they're just like, they're just like, and you're like, okay, do you want to talk about, no, do you, okay, like, then I have to kind of shift my energy, and where I was super excited, and now it's like, okay, I got to be respectful of this. And then I can say, well, if you do want to talk about it, I'd be happy to listen. And I have to like step away,
Yeah.
and then let them come at their own time, which usually like 30 minutes to an hour later, or even later that evening, they'll say, I'm sorry I snapped at you. Like I just, something happened at school. I don't really want to talk about it right now, but
Yeah.
and it's fascinating.
Oh,
And it's
sure.
fascinating how fast it shifts too.
Well, and yeah, I'd wonder if you didn't match their energy and tried to force, like,
Yes. It's okay. It's gonna
yeah,
be okay.
right, then they
Like
may not
rub
have
it,
come back.
shake it off, shake it off. Yeah.
Yeah, so really, really well, and that's like kind of a great example, and just also models the flexibility and fluidity of what like energy or kind of, yeah, vibration is
Yes.
or are.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about that or about this is that it makes you, I believe, absorb what the energetic Earth is on its own frequency. And actually, it
Yes.
was someone was telling me about it. It's like measured at like 320 in
Hertz
yeah,
or
something
something.
like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
very interesting. I don't know if it's true. I haven't looked up. But, someone who was telling me is that music in the 40s or 60s was tuned
Yes.
to the previous frequency that matched
Yes.
the earth, and that's why maybe some people believe music sounds better back then. Are you
Yeah.
familiar with that?
Yeah. So, and also like your sleeping
Mm-hmm.
stuff, like your consciousness levels,
Mm-hmm.
your beta, alpha, theta, delta, theta. So, like where you are, also, like your brain is resonating at certain
Yeah.
vibrations, and it's why you're either able to fall asleep better at night because you've been able to calm the brain
Mm-hmm.
waves down, or you're still in this beta mode where you're like in get shit done mode,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about like, what do I have to do tomorrow? What did I do today? Did I do the right thing with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's ways to bring, binaural beats. I'm a huge believer in
Mm-hmm.
binaural beats because those are attuned to certain
Yeah.
brain, waves, and you listen to them, I swear, 20 minutes, like it's magic.
Yeah.
So it's part of that is music is a great way
Mm-hmm.
to shift that, to calming yourself down or ramping yourself up. So, you have like in sports, you have your,
Mm-hmm.
entry song or something. It's
Right.
like your pump up
Yeah.
song. So, that's a good way to think of it too. But everything, I mean, really everything has, I mean, we call it vibration. It sounds super woo woo, but it's all science. Like we're definitely dedicated to the science of it all. I've done deep dives in this for like 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it is very, quantum physics, physics based. It's super fascinating. So,
Mm-hmm.
I love that we're
Oh,
having this
yeah,
conversation.
and gosh, that's reminds me also then of like the flow state, which is I'm so passionate about
Yes.
because one of the purposes of this talk and why I love bringing it up with clients and maybe work around it with clients is that it can create health. But then also you're telling me it's like health in many ways, but then yeah, with the flow state, like peak performance,
Yes.
and they can kind of go hand in hand if someone might value or want that with like
Right.
kind of peak performance.
And you can't maintain peak performance all the
Oh
time.
no,
Your flow state, you cannot be in flow state
no.
all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, peak performance and flow state requires rest.
Yeah. So that's like a form of energy. And
Yeah.
so while you're exactly right, and it's a great kind of model because rest, that kind of energy is still a log on the fire. And the
Yes.
most important thing, again, is to maintain energy. And so maybe in this case, to maintain the ability or the flow trigger to get in the state when you need it, you
Yes.
need the log, the supplying the energetic,
Yeah.
force of rest.
Well, and the logs next to the fire are potential energy.
Oh, of course. Oh, yes, very
So
much so.
so even though it's not in an active energy state,
Yeah,
it's the potential, the air that fuels
right.
it, all the different things. I mean, it takes, you know,
Hmm.
uh like you said, the alchemy, the chemistry of it
Right.
all.
Yeah,
Hmm.
very much so. Which is not, this is not black and white. It's not in
No.
or out. It's not, but like the most important thing is the not like, sure, the supplying of energy, but understanding that the energy is there, like
Yes.
to be supplied. And if you can access it well, um, that creates health. And then,
Yes.
we've now gotten on a rabbit hole of
Right. Well,
flow
so
state.
one thing I wanted to bring up was the idea, because I see a lot of people who are highly empathetic,
Hmm.
right? Like high empaths. And so sometimes they have a harder time tuning into their own energy
Hmm.
versus feeling everybody else's energy,
Hmm.
right? Like, so part of this also, and in our Ericksonian hypnosis, my mentor would say, like, if you can ground yourself in a positive trance, I
Hmm.
mean, you can also ground yourself in a negative trance, but ideally
Right.
we want to ground ourselves, and this
Yeah,
is like
ground ourselves in a
your
positive trance. Hmm.
knowing yourself. You call it your, what is it, not your best, I call it best adult self, but like
Sure. Yeah.
you call it something, where it's like you really know yourself, you like yourself, you love yourself, like
Hmm.
you're confident in yourself, like
Yeah.
we're gonna get things wrong, but overall
Yeah.
we're
Right.
like in this positive trance. And so whatever someone else brings our way, or we walk into a room and our coworker's in a bad mood, we don't get sucked into that coworker's negative trance.
Hmm.
We can be like, oh, okay, well, they're just doing that again,
Hmm.
like, And we could, like if we did show up in a positive trance, we could also, bring people into our positive trance.
Mm-hmm.
But, part of this is they have to want to,
Right. Right. Yeah. And I love where you're going now, because it's like, how, like, do we literally put this into practice? Because that's where, at least from some of the clients I work with, it's like, gosh, okay, you can conceptualize it, and the psychoeducation is right, but
Yeah.
like, what the,
What does
heck
that mean?
do we do about it? And so that's where I love. So one example, because I think it's the easiest, is, some might agree that love is the most high. So there's the most,
Mm-hmm.
energy. Yeah, that can come, love is one of the most, something that's most energetic,
Yeah.
maybe. And kind of butchering that. So it's like operating kind of a place of love, but things internally, externally can happen to us that might get us into a negative trance, where like love is hard to really operate in consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma, one can kind of do that,
For sure.
as well.
Sure.
And so this is something where it's small things often, it's pennies makes dollars. It's similar to atomic habits.
Yeah.
But I might do like two examples, one of which is a great, and some mindfulness kind of exercise, but it's intended at airports, but I like to do it as in traffic,
Okay.
because at least for me and a lot of people talk with, when you're driving on the road, and one, it's, while it might not be immediately in danger, it can be a dangerous situation. And so the people you're driving next to, we could see them consciously or not as threats. Someone was, kind of
Yeah.
reckless, cuts in front of us, like, hey, what the heck are you doing?
Right.
And so then we see these people as a threat. It's easily to be frustrated, but instead it's an intentional, again, small but important practice
Yes.
of everybody that I pass in traffic, how can I give them love? It's
Mm-hmm.
like hope or admiration or fondness. Or if someone
Yes.
is, riding a bumper, and they fly by me, it's
Yes.
not like, hey, what a jerk. It's, I hope everything's okay.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
hope they
Yeah.
need to get there. And it's hard to do, and it might not feel organic or natural,
Mm-hmm.
but through repetition, it
Mm-hmm.
gets there.
Yes.
It begins to be organic and
Yes.
natural. And that is so true, which I could talk an hour of
Yeah.
more examples of how that is true.
Well, and what you're talking about is you're wiring your brain a certain way.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Your brain's either wired to assume the worst in people and, oh, that guy's an asshole, he just,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Or we're rewiring it to say, oh my gosh, there must be an emergency. I hope they're okay,
Mm-hmm.
or something, so that it's more, you know, hopeful or
Right.
positive, if you
Right.
will, but like, not assuming the worst.
Yep. Exactly. And similar to sympathetic resonance, if I give these strangers love, even
Yeah.
though we're not in close
Yeah.
proximity,
Yeah.
you can make the argument that love finds you in return, or it's more easily accessible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
wait, I gotta interrupt you because
please.
there's a great story. There's this Hawaiian, I would say it's a myth, but it's not a myth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you go and research this, the Ho'oponopono, have you heard
I'm
this?
not.
Okay. There was a psychologist or psychiatrist who was working in like a inpatient mental, facility, like psychiatric patient.
Mm-hmm.
He hadn't met his clients yet. Took the stack of files that his clients, right? And he just would say four things: I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Like, that was his
Mm-hmm.
thing, right? And there's a book on this. Like, I used to talk about this all the time with clients, and like people did deep dives
Mm-hmm.
on this. It was so fascinating. But all of the inpatient psychiatric patients got better.
Wow.
It's like really fascinating. So those phrases you could say to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can just say, I used to say them in general. Like, if I was really annoyed with something, I would just say them just because, like,
Mm-hmm.
I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Because I thought those were some of the four most powerful phrases, where you're invoking love, you're
Mm-hmm.
invoking gratitude, you're invoking, all this really powerful energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I don't know, that's me geeking out on
Yeah.
that
Well,
whole
I
thing.
love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm so glad you brought that up, because also, like, Hawaii is,
Oh, you
yeah,
love
I do.
Hawaii.
I do love
Yes, that's
Hawaii.
right.
And another, so because you spoke about the relationship with yourself, and
Yeah.
again, so vital in a lot of ways. Often it's very easy to neglect it. But one thing I do, again, a small behavior, and I kind of say it lets the body do the thinking. So it might not feel organic or real at all. And I told you a quote the other day, instead of fake it till you
Yes.
make it until you've made it. Because you can
Yes.
make yourself experience certain things, one
Yes.
of which is a positive trance. And so the clients I have now, they, especially individually, very common mantra that we all kind of adapt is, that's not nothing. And what it's intended to do is to give attention and energy to what our
Yes.
shadow self or something that's dismissive might seem like nothing. So one might be, I hate going to the dentist and like making the appointment for the dentist.
Yes.
So much anxiety around it. We'll talk about it maybe in the reality next
Mm-hmm.
episode of how we shift that. But anyway, after and I do this with my clients, after you make the appointment, you have to spend time intimately with yourself. One way that works for me, I have to do the Tiger Wood like fist bump, right in there, and I do it. Yeah, it is
Yeah.
that. And then I have clients who have done they get out their little guns and they do this, or they have like looking themselves in the mirror and they point, and it feels silly when you're making it, and
Yeah.
it feels like, again, just like something I'm being made to do, but it'd be imagine of how it shifts. And,
Yeah.
and I do it every day I come to the office now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, like step out inside, like I'm
I
here.
made it
What
here.
an
Yeah.
yeah, what an opportunity. And I
Yeah.
can't tell you how powerful this. So those are just small little
Yeah.
examples.
Well, there's a whole there's a whole book in TED Talk and all the things
Mm.
about like different
Oh,
poses
yeah,
and
and you're
all
big
that
on the
stuff.
energy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
so, like how and the movement also shifts energy.
Oh, right.
Whether if you go for a walk or you walk to the bathroom or get a drink of water, but you're moving, emotions are meant to be in motion, and so whatever energetically is happening usually has some emotion tied to
Yeah.
it and meaning making it tied to it. So the process of movement, as small as it is, or jumping
Right.
jacks or something silly.
You're
I've been doing a lot of like
1,000%.
jumping up and down,
Hmm.
bouncing,
Yeah.
like this lymphatic drainage stuff, but
Hmm.
and even that shifts things.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You're spot on. Very much on. And it's also reminded me of, and this is for cases where it might need something physical in session. And I've had people get up and jump around and,
yeah.
like laughing yoga, which I don't know if we have time to. It's like
Ooh.
a good
Okay.
example of that.
I don't think we do
Okay,
today.
that's
Maybe.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, if you're saying, hey, what I just did, that's not nothing, it's something. And then here
Yes.
comes the buts. Well, what about? It's the standing up, and it's like, yeah, and it's awkward and it's strange, but it's amazing at how it silences the inner critic,
Yes.
and then it lets you
Yes.
absorb the energy.
Release and yeah, all
Hmm.
those things. Well, I'm excited for our second video because in the second video, we're going to
Realities.
follow this up with how you can create your own reality. And it's not as hard as you think it is.
No,
And
no.
so we've got some really good nuggets, tools for your toolbox to, do all this and not like it's not hard. It's just shifting your thinking
Yeah.
just enough to, unlock. It's like a little key goes in and you're just unlocking something new.
Yeah,
So,
can I say some
yeah,
of
of
that real
course.
quick? Like all this, yeah, is measurable, like practicable.
Yes.
There's activity and exercises to get your reps in, and repetition of
Yeah.
there's a lot of tools that we don't like. We might outline the tool, but then the
Right.
client gets to pick which tools are best for them, and then like
Yes.
through the getting your reps in,
Yes.
powerful change occurs.
Powerful
Every
change.
opportunity is a rep. Every rep's opportunity.
All
I
right.
know I'm
Yeah, it's
big on
okay.
that.
Okay. This is video 1, so stay tuned for video 2.